Welcome to the Morning Show here on the Rise News. I am Adesua Omorwan.
And I'm Rufai saying good to see you again. Happy holidays, Adesua.
Indeed, and it's a wet day in Lagos.
Yeah.
Well, as the gubernatorial elections are drawn near in Kogi State, a lot of possibilities about also the security challenge in the nation is on the front burner with the recent discussions on creating state and local government police on the table. A lot of debate in the public space has ensued about this. Well, joining us now to take a look at this and more is Colonel Yomi, a security expert and alumnus of the Defense Institute of International Legal Studies, Newport, Rhode Island, USA, having studied legal aspects of combating terrorism, military law development program, and peacekeeping in accordance with the rule of law. Great to have you on the show this morning.
All right. Thank you very much, Adesua and Rufai.
Welcome.
I'm glad, and I think it's a very special day because this is Eid Mubarak.
Yes.
Eid Mubarak,
Yes.
indeed.
Yes.
Let's begin with what is grabbing the front pages and the headlines this morning, of course, is the Ojukwu Committee report submitted to President Muhammadu Buhari about SARS, reforming SARS, the Special Anti-Robbery Squad. That committee submitted its report yesterday. And some of the major recommendations are grabbing the headlines, and one of it is creation of state and local police. I don't know if you have seen the report, but what do you make of those recommendations making the rounds?
Well, to be very honest with you, Adesua, I have not seen this report. But talking about local government and state policing, I have been a very strong advocate of community policing, otherwise state policing, and I think that's going to be one of the best, recipe for our current security quagmire in this country. It will go a long way to help us. Of course, I mean, in every situation there will be cynics. People will come with all sorts of conspiracy theories. Some school of thoughts are of the opinion that by the time you create a state police, that the governors, it will be their, they will abuse it. But again, for crying out loud, let them abuse it. I hope we realize that it's no longer going to be business as usual in this country. The governor has 4 years to spend. And by the time he finishes abusing it, I'm sure the people will be able to give him his scorecard. That's my take. So I think we should allow state policing to come alive.
Speaking of governors and governance, you have been in this process yourself. We know your antecedents as regards this. You did try to run for a very keenly contested seat. And that's the seat currently being held by Senator Dino Melaye. In fact, you put yourself up, you joined the APC senatorial race in Kogi State. Can you just talk us through your experiences? We talk about governance in Kogi State. Look also to the elections as it comes.
Well, that's a very wonderful experience, I must confess to you. I mean, having been in private practice, private business over the years, and I just felt the urge, to come on board to try to rescue what I consider a very, very bad situation in my state, and especially in my constituency, which is Kogi West. And then I decided to throw my hat in the ring. But again, I am not given to what you describe, or what I call a do-or-die politicking. I believe that politics should be done with a lot of civility. Forget about the fact that I'm a military person, with a military background. But I also believe that, we should be civil. I mean, we shouldn't be combatant when it comes to politics.
So you saw the lack of civility in Kogi politics?
I see a lot of confrontation and unethical, what I consider as unethical conduct. Because in the first place, when I came in with this full, zeal to give myself to service. And then I was expecting that we'll have like a level playing field. I got my first shocker when it wasn't going to be direct politics. I mean, direct primaries, because, of course, you understand the direct and indirect primaries. And when you have to go or you do indirect primaries, then you have to contend with delegates. But I came in as a greenhorn. I came in and I felt that, look, the situation needs rescuing. And by the time I present myself and I meet with the electorate, interact with them, interface with them, surely they will listen. They will listen. Because, again, from my background, I'm not given to stories.
But it was not the case.
It wasn't the case.
And you were telling me how you were being dribbled round and round. And the governor wasn't telling you where he was standing until you finally heard that, it was going to be the way of Senator Smart at Yomi.
Well, I think, we must deploy some maturity here. So whatever has been some kind of a privileged information, I don't think it would be appropriate to bring that on board here. But again, in fairness to the governor, I think it was he came out clean to show the direction in which he wanted to go for obvious reasons, according to him. And then for me, I didn't want to come to come and be in opposition. So I threw my weight behind the APC, and then I still belong to the party.
Well,
so
let's go back to security. I'll take you back to politics in the course of the interview. What do you make of the fight against terrorism so far under President Muhammadu Buhari's first term? In the last interview before the inauguration, the exclusive with NTA, he gave himself a pass mark. He says he's happy about the decimation of Boko Haram in the Northeast. Do you feel that same way?
Well, you see, terrorism is a non-conventional war. You wake up today, it's a different ball game. Tomorrow, it's a different ball game. Sometimes you are winning, sometimes you are losing, because you are not fighting a targeted, you are not even seeing the enemy. You are not seeing the enemy. So it's what you call kind of an asymmetric warfare. It's not a conventional warfare. So sometimes things might, be going on the side of the government, So what do you expect? Again, you find out that the terrorists are also gaining ground when they succeed in creating mayhem, But on the whole, compared to what was, I think this government has really tried.
Well, some would say what they gained in the fight against Boko Haram, they have lost to banditry, kidnapping, and all the security challenges across the country. Zamfara, Katsina, the home state of the president, is even a hotbed. And all of this, what's your take?
Again, we must not lose sight of the fact that there's a lot of intrigues, politics going into this. I recall on some occasion when I've had cause to interact the same way we interacted. Now, I'm strongly against us politicizing the war against terrorism. Because as we speak, some people are smiling to the bank at the expense of the majority of the
How does
citizen.
anyone smile to the bank? Just for a clearer understanding from this.
What do you think of a situation where people are making secret profits? Not even secret profit now, open profit. You had all the things, you read about the things going on in the IDP camps. You read all the things going on about contracts. People, who got contracts. Highly placed people who got contracts to cut grasses. I mean, should that be happening with the kind of situation we find ourselves? I don't think so.
Let me come in here.
People are bleeding this country. You had how people, rather than spend money in procuring equipment for soldiers to fight, they diverted such money and did otherwise, and people lost lives. So these are some of the things we're talking about here. Corruption.
Let me come in here. It looks as though now the banditry, armed robbery, kidnapping has even usurped the prominence of insurgency. Only recently, a governor's convoy was attacked by bandits, a deputy governor's convoy. They've become very brazen. There was a story in Zamfara State that these bandits now collect security fee from local governments to secure them. These bandits are fast having some level of sovereignty, but we're still calling them bandits.
Rufai, let's call a spade by its name and no other name. As far as I'm concerned, people are getting away with it. People are getting away with it because we are not really seeing people being prosecuted. I mean, I was reading about a young man, who held everybody by the jugular on Kaduna Abuja Way. And as we speak, we have not even had the end of it. What has happened? Okay? And as far as I'm concerned, we don't have to give it any other coloration. As far as I'm concerned, it's all acts of terrorism. And they should be so dealt with. They should be so dealt with. So calling it banditry, calling it kidnapping, I mean, it's all terrorism.
We'll take a quick break at this point, so we'll come back to discuss more on security and politics in Kogi State. Stay with us. Great to have you back. You're still watching the Morning Show here on the Rise News, and we still have with us Colonel Yomi Diary, security expert. We're talking about banditry. Rufai raised the question about bandits getting away with everything they're doing, and you're saying we should call it a spade, and these bandits are terrorists and not bandits.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, they're terrorists. And they should be dealt with the way a terrorist should be.
So I take it you're in support of the recent pronouncement by the Zamfara state governor, who says it's a death penalty for not just the bandits, but their informants in Zamfara state.
How do you mean informants?
Well, that's the governor's position. Those who aid and abet the
terrorism or
the
banditry.
Bandits, because in Zamfara, even the federal government has come out to say it's bandits and illegal mining that is the cause of insecurity in the state.
Honestly, I think with all due respect, I beg to differ here. And as far as I'm concerned, it's all acts of terrorism. Because they are inflicting pain on the citizenry. That is the truth.
Okay, Colonel Yomi.
Yes, please.
Let's look at approach to solving this. So we have seen countries go through this. I mean, America, after the credit crisis in the 1930s, the credit crunch in the 1930s, they had something called the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
The likes of John Dillinger, Public Enemy #1, armed robbers, interstate robbers, the likes of Bonnie and Clyde. But they solved this, and they got rid of all of them. They had their spate for a couple of years. But it looks as though this has continued for a long time. And I think this has continued since the killing of Mohammed Yusuf, the alleged founder of Boko Haram. Till now, hasn't this gone too long? in over 15 years.
Now listen here, Rufai. Yes, Mohammed Yusuf was killed. But how did Mohammed Yusuf and his co-travelers, how did they come into being? How? People brought them up, used them to prosecute their interests, their political interests, and then dumped them after they've been used. They were already armed. And then the people found out that they were no longer relevant. And in order to be relevant, they had to go back to get their arms and make themselves relevant. And they started like a ragtag thing, calling themselves Boko Haram. The rest has become history.
Well, some people will say we've done it before. We flushed out Metisani in the 80s. And I'm sure you were probably in the military when that was done.
Absolutely.
Why can't we flush? I mean, it didn't take us 1 or 2 months to flush out Metisani. So why can't we flush out those people and have peace and security for once?
Now, don't forget, you were citing the cases of America. Here, this is Africa, and this is Nigeria. You know, our monocultural, religious, ethnic nature or culture. That's part of our problem. It's part of our problem here. And don't also forget that these same people have their links on the religious map across the borders, linked to ISIS, linked to Hezbollah, or, you know, name it. So things are becoming so complicated. And then you trace them along, you know, the West African coast too, especially the French-speaking, through Mali, Niger. And of course, you look at our borders, especially on the northern flank. Our borders are so porous, terribly porous.
Well, for advocates such as yours pushing for state policing,
Yes.
Just looking at, again, the recommendations of this committee is establishment of state and local government police, significant improvement in the funding, kitting and facilities of the Nigerian police force, strengthening of the police information technology and police rapid response complaint unit, ensuring that the anti-robbery section limits itself to tackling armed robbery. A lot of people will say there's no silver bullet to solving our insecurity challenges, but that, you know, state and local government policing will go a long way. However, this is just a recommendation. The president has said there will be a white paper, another committee to look at it before it is finally implemented. What would be your advice? Because, you know, you made the case again for those who are against this to say the state governments have the, you know, propensity to abuse this.
Yes.
So what would be your advice? How do we get this to work? It might not be a silver bullet, but how do we get this to work? We're talking about funding. We're talking about equipping them. Isn't it the same problem we have with the federal police? Are we not going to be repeating the same thing at the state and local government levels?
Now listen. Without us having state police in our constitution, take Lagos State, for example. Lagos State government, and I must commend Lagos State government, I mean, especially the past governments, and I'm sure the present government in Lagos State too, because it's a continuum. They've been funding the police.
It's the Lagos State Police Trust Fund.
They started the Police Trust Fund, and the Police Trust Fund has worked magic. I mean, it's an open secret that at least crime rates, you know, within Lagos State has significantly, you know, improved compared to what it was. I'm not saying that there are no crimes even on a daily basis right now, but it has improved. Because a lot of the state government has been able to getting equipment, logistics, building barracks, furnishing them, buying vehicles, buying equipment for the police.
So all of this that the state have been done before?
Absolutely. So that's what I'm saying.
But it didn't work.
How do you mean?
It didn't work because you have a situation where even when the state governors, up to Zamfara, state governor who decided to abdicate his role as chief security officer, said, I fund these people, I give them vehicles, but they do not take, instructions from me. They do not even listen to me.
That is what we're saying. Not until the president signs it into law, and will probably amend our constitution, to suit or to accommodate state policing.
And there comes the second part of my question to say, if they do fund, and they now can take others from the state governors, then comes the power to say, I fund you, you should take instructions from me, and then the abuse may then come in. How do we safeguard to make sure that does not happen?
Well, I want to believe that part of it's going to be a work in progress. And part of what the various committees are going to do here is to sit down and come up with, modalities, okay? They collect heads, make them work out modalities, how these powers will not be abused, okay? And like I said, I mean, there must be bounds. There must be boundaries. There must be boundaries, because I think the major problem right now is where you have an Inspector General of Police right up there who dishes out instructions to the state commissioners of police. But by the time you have this one coming into life, so the various state governors will now be the chief security officers of their service, even though they are called chief security officers right now, but I think it's just chief security officers in theory and not in practice. But then it will be proper chief security officers. And come to think of it, as far as I'm concerned, we must learn, to trust each other. We must learn to trust. Because if somebody, you call him a state governor, and he's in charge of the resources of the state, so why can't you trust him to also be in charge of, policing his state?
Let's talk about that. There are going to be elections very soon before the end of the year in your state.
Yes.
The race have just been thrown open. Senator Dinowelai has declared his intention to put his hat in the race, and is saying, I stand a chance against the incumbent governor. What's the politicking like in your state now? How is it with Dinowelai?
Very quickly, we have about a minute to go.
Well, that's very interesting. Yeah. It's as far as I'm concerned, I mean, it's everyone has a right to. Yeah. So Senator Dinowelai has a right to contest, just like every other Kogite. Yeah. Okay?
You don't think it has a strong chance?
I don't know what you mean by having a strong chance, but I know you have a sitting governor who also will not fold his arms and allow somebody to come and take over his seat. So it's going to be very interesting, and we'll see how it plays out.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Colonel Yomi Dare, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you.